Intermediate Self-Improvement 9. Siafang. Translation edited by Chinyu. 10. Valuing Visualization. Visualization refers to a vivid, future-oriented image that forms in one's mind through unconscious mental activities, where you can envision yourself being part of that future scenario. Visualization belongs to the phenomenon of the negative universe, but after a few years or decades, when you find yourself in that scenario, the image becomes a reality in the material world. We can also say that visualization is an imagined illusion, but surprisingly, this illusion will materialize in the real world in the near future, becoming a real environment. Here are two examples. In 1980, when I was studying at the Zhangjiago Geological Technical School in Hebei, one Sunday evening, I sat by the railway tracks behind the school, looking at the smoking village. Suddenly, I envisioned a scene where I was teaching at a high school not far from a small town. The school had assigned me a two-room house with a fenced yard where I had grown vegetables like eggplants, tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, and peppers, and raised a few chickens. This vision appeared only once and then disappeared. I didn't dwell on it, but 8 years later, in 1988, one day while watering the vegetables in the backyard of my house at the No. 2 middle school, 3 kilometers away from the Pinjiwanbo town in Zhangya, Gansu province, I suddenly recalled the vision from that evening in Zhangjiago. Upon comparison, the imagined scenario and the reality matched almost perfectly, as I was also raising a few chickens and had a fenced yard. In the rainy season of 1996, while I was having tea with the manager of the Gansu International's Zimbabwe branch on the green lawn chairs by the swimming pool of Villa 48 in Harare, at that time, a black gardener named Jack was tidying up the garden nearby. He said, "It's strange. 8 years ago, when I was a teacher at a normal school, one day I imagined this scene. I had a villa in some African country with green lawns and a swimming pool. After swimming, I sat under a sun umbrella, and a black servant in a white coat served me tea. Isn't today's scene exactly like my imagination?" My reaction was one of astonishment. Recalling my own fulfilled mental imagery, I realized that such phenomena are not accidental. I thought back to when I was 7 or 8 years old, enjoying standing at the edge of the fields at dusk, watching the beautiful sunset and imagining traveling to the farthest place where the sun sets, a place of perpetual spring, bird songs, and flowers, like a fairyland. 30 years later, I indeed came to Zimbabwe, the farthest west from my hometown, Yongjing County by the Yellow River. I've lived in a villa for several years, with green lawns in the front and back, and every morning I can see and hear a variety of birds catching insects and singing in the yard. The environment here is beautiful, the climate pleasant, with flowers blooming all year round. At Forest Road 10, where I lived, the yard had 64 different tree species, clearly turning my imagination into reality. Another example is when my child was in junior high, I told him to often consciously and unconsciously visualize himself attending university in the United States. 6 years later, he indeed got admitted to a university in the US with excellent grades. The transition from unconscious to conscious visualization was facilitated by the Bible. One early morning in 1996, while driving from Harare to Mutare at 3:30 a.m., I fell asleep at the wheel while driving at a speed of 165 kilometers per hour. When I woke up, I found that the car had collided with a large concrete milestone. The car was damaged, but I was unscathed. Miraculously, if the point of impact on the stone had been just a foot forward or backward, the car would have rolled down the slope, leading to dire consequences. My first thought was, God saved me. 3 days later, a kindly old couple, Jehovah's Witnesses, came to see me, saying they wanted to discuss the Bible with me. I welcomed them without hesitation. This marked the beginning of over 4 years of Bible study. As my studies deepened, unconscious mental images continued to emerge, depicting scenes from the 36 dimensions of space, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Earth universe, the negative universe, the workings of the Tao, the origins of Buddha, the times of Adam and Eve, the dinosaur era, Noah's era, and future times. It seemed as if time and space had disappeared, no longer existing. During the Christmas season of 2000, I arrived at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. Gazing at the vast blue horizon, I conceived the idea of Lifechanyuan. Visualization is not about fantasies, daydreams, or delusions. It is a realistic mental image that emerges naturally when you are in a serene, harmonious atmosphere, free from material desires. This mental image appears in a state of forgetting oneself and the surroundings. It will not appear when you are busy, worried, tired, or full of desires. Visualization may seem like an illusion, but it is a real scene that transcends time and space. With increased self-improvement and self-cultivation, it will undoubtedly appear in your mind. Once it does, it becomes your future, no matter how much you strive or struggle. The negative universe will inevitably lead you to the place in your visualization.